I'm going to set up the recording and the streaming, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Everything seems to take a little bit slower these days in loading up all the bandwidth drain that's going on. Okay. All right, we should be good to go now. All right, so good morning, everybody. It's Monday, spring break week. I'm supposed to be down in Duck, North Carolina. Where are you guys supposed to be this week? Somebody tell me where they're supposed to be. Sure, somebody has something planned besides me.
Supposed to be in New Orleans right now.
New Orleans.
Kid free in New Orleans.
What's that?
Kid free in New Orleans.
Free in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh, double whammy.
Is there tingling kind of music in everyone's background, or is that just something on my computer?
No, I think that's my son's Dreambox. Hey, Dylan.
Oh, okay. All right. Just making sure it wasn't something here. Thank you.
Sorry, no, thanks for being. Sometimes we don't realize how sensitive our own mics are when they pick things up. Who else was supposed to be somewhere this week?
Sounded like some Twilight Zone music.
He's doing his math work. We're sticking in and trying to be regimented around here to get through the schoolwork stuff too.
Awesome.
All right, so all right, I'm looking for somebody else to tell me where there's somewhere fun and exciting they were supposed to be this week, besides their kitchen table.
We were supposed to be taking a trip to Atlanta for my daughter's birthday, which is tomorrow.
Happy birthday to your daughter.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll find something fun to do for her at home. I had 2 weekends ago was both my boys' birthdays.
Oh, wow.
I had one on Friday and one on Monday. So that was a little challenging, but we made do with what we had to do.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going to cook a breakfast, maybe cook out on a grill, just try to make home entertaining.
That's all we can do right now, right? Make home entertaining. Last night I did a campfire. So, little things that we can do to try to have some normalcy in our lives. That's important. It's important to get out as best you can around your property, at least, right?
Yeah.
Get outside, try to do some normal things. I taught my parents how to Zoom on Saturday nights. We do a little live time with them. That went across pretty well. So I imagine even more Zoom time in my future.
Okay.
All right. So today, Monday the 6th, we are going to go through the consumer experience. We've spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks going over configuration and setting things up about how they should look like, how things work, what's the functionality look like. I think something that's overlooked quite a bit is the consumer experience and the lack of information that our own realtors have in understanding how that platform works. A lot of the questions that I see coming in to me or to KWI, or a lot of the questions or concerns, the user error around not understanding the functionality of the websites or the mobile apps. I thought it was important today to take a tour through all that, since I don't think a lot of you have done that. You just started sharing things and you're not quite sure how to respond to questions that you're getting from your consumers. So that's the focus of today's class. So I've just gone here. I have my website set up. It's not perfect, and I use it for testing a lot. So forgive me if everything doesn't look as crisp and clean as I'd like it to be. But this is my website, daviddonaldson.kw.com or daviddonaldson.net, because I have that forwarded and configured. All right, so one thing you should know, so a week or so ago, it was pointed out to me that my website was bouncing to a non-secure website, at least so it said. So I actually just had to go through the consumer site settings, the Kelly Guide setup, and just reclaim my subdomain on KW. And at the end, I can kind of walk you through that again to show you where that's at. But I just had to do like a refresh on the KW side because it wasn't reading my subdomain. So you should be checking your websites every now and then. Just make sure that there's seamless functionality issues with a lot of things that we're doing and getting worked on the back end, or just the internet things that we're dealing with right now. You should always keep an eye on what your online presence is and see how that's functioning. So we see here, I've got my website. I've got my homepage is kind of cycling through some pictures that I had uploaded on my site editor on the back end. I've got my hero images. That's what those are called, right? I've got my on the box search bar here in the middle. I've got my Office DBA, a team logo. And then there are things that are turned on now because I'm actually logged in as a consumer. Right, so I'm signed in. If I just sign out real quick, let's do that. So it looks like, so this is what it looks like if it's a consumer who hasn't created an account yet. You'll see the login and sign up. And you'll see drop downs for the different pages that we have built on your, well, this is my website, but depending on what you build out on your website. But if they were to go ahead and sign up, they can do all this, put in their first name, last name, email address, create a password, and click sign up. And you will get a notification inside of Command. They'll create a contact record within Command. You'll have a bell whistle notification, red dot inside of Command, and you'll get a push notification through to Kelly if you've got that configured as well. I'm just going to go ahead and log in as my consumer. Just show you before I do that, if I scroll down, you'll see there's a contact page here at the bottom for you. Your name and number is here. Your Office DBA, your license number, your office address, and your social media interactions if you had linked them to your marketing profile. Remember, everything that's on here is pulling from your marketing profile or the pages that you built inside the consumer side. So why don't I go ahead and log in? If you guys haven't done that, create an account. Now, it's important, and this is the first glitch that most people tend to end up with having challenges, that they try to log in to their website or to their mobile app utilizing their KW username and password. And you have to remember, this is a consumer. It's not you, the realtor. So what I recommend is that you guys use a account that you don't use in business, create because I actually created this under my son's name, maybe a spouse, son, daughter, and use a login and password that's separate from what you use in your business, and utilize that on your mobile app testing and on your website testing. All right, so now I'm logged in as a consumer. I can scroll across. You'll see here at the top, I've got a couple of different things that have popped up now, right? These weren't here on the main page. We've got feed, guide, and saved. So feed, which isn't completely working yet, this would be an interaction between you and your consumer, or the consumer and anybody else that they have invited to look at properties along with them. And if you've played around with the mobile app, you understand how you can share platforms back and forth. We will touch on that. But that's what this feed is all about. So that's getting further developed, but you will see that right now. I haven't done a whole lot of bouncing back and forth. Then you've got your guides. So if you remember that we launched the timeline guides when we launched the mobile app. And so now your consumer sees them on both platforms, both the website and the mobile app. They're here. And they can toggle back and forth between buying and selling guides. Now you see that some of these are checked off. It's because I was just testing, and basically that's the consumer, right? Testing or checking off that things have been done. So right here, if I was to go to the first one, okay, which is start your search, there's some pretext in here. Now you guys can edit all these things through the editing guide on the consumer pages. But when you clicked on it, you see that I've got a lot more information here about what's going to start happening for their process. And at the bottom, I can toggle through to the next step for them. There's pre-approved, which is there for them. I added this buyer agency agreement page. Okay. And each one is they're currently marked checked off, right? So that's why you're seeing those checks. If I got down to make an offer, you know, sorry guys. All right, so pop-ups on my screen. So make an offer. Make an offer was the next one. If I scroll to the bottom of that, where I could check off that, hey, they made an offer. I could check that on and off right on the screen. This is supposed to be. There we go. Oh, sorry, over here. Mark is completed. And when a mark is completed, it'll bounce to the next step. But I can also toggle back and forth through the different stages. Now, these will also mirror and track these things back through your opportunity inside of Command. So that's the guides. Seller guides, buyer guides. Now, also, when you look at your seller guides, like this is actually a picture of one of my houses that I changed and edited through the guide because the default photo is of a house of Miami, I believe. So you want to be conscious of the pictures that are in here and the context of what's in here, right? Because on this timeline guide, see where this says David? I bet you for a lot of you, if you haven't updated it, it probably says Paul. So you've got to make sure that you're setting things up, making sure that it speaks to you and your business. The images reflect where you are, your neighborhood searches. There's a chat. That's right. It is a good time for everyone. Yep. Thank you, Wendy. You're absolutely right. This is a good time for everybody to be looking at and making notes as to, hey, things I need to change. And then you can go ahead and make those edits. Paul, he's everywhere. I know. People don't realize they launch things and they don't go into them. And that's why I wanted you to see it from this side of things. And I hope some of you that are following along from home are seeing what's happening here. All right. So if I come back to my homepage, I always can click back on the KW or I can toggle back. It's going to bring me back to my homepage. This particular client that I've been utilizing has some saved searches, right? So you've got searches and collections. So that's when you're hearting or liking properties, you can start storing them into different categories, right? You see here that I've got investment opportunities or investor favorites, and we'll talk a little bit more about creating those. And then all the way over here in the end, you've got your account, your consumer's account. So if they click on their history, they'll look at it'll show up any properties that they have seen or been looking at, right? They can look at their account and update their information. What are they interested in? What's their contact information that can be edited? They can add a co-buyer. This kind of goes back into that feed. So if I had added a secondary buyer for this particular client, right, then I could go ahead and add them in. And let's go ahead and do that. I'll have my other son, Dylan. Awesome. Yes, darthlooper@gmail.com. That was one of my training emails when I had when I was training Dotloop. So that'll go a pending invite to that email address in that email account. I haven't used it in a while, so I forget what I'll have to figure out what the login and password was. But anyways, I wanted you to see what the account. Now remember, this is like Netflix. So anything that you do on the website version of the consumer, okay, also carries over to their experience on their app side of things. So anything they do here goes to the app. Anything they do in the app, they'll be able to also see at a later date on the consumer website. So they can use them independently of each other, but the information is cross-platform. I hope that makes sense to everybody. It's important to know that they don't have to have two separate logins. One login is going to get them into both platforms. So let's go back to the home page. Any questions on the look and the feel of the website as it stands right now? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We've talked about the website setup, so we have got recordings for that. So I don't want to get into a whole about of how did you do this, how did you do that too much on the configuration side of things. But looking at the workflow for the consumer, any questions on the consumer experience so far of their accounts, understanding that it's their account and not your account that you're logging into, how to invite a co-buyer, how to scroll across, understanding the guides and the value and having those there. Well, I just went to my website. This is just the consumer site. So if you've set up your website, somebody was questioning how to find their website. So that if you've set up your website, this is not a set up your website class. This was just going to, I went to daviddonaldson.net, which is my website. So this is all about going to your own personal website. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in here. Oh, let's see if there's one more question here. And let's look at some of our search functions. So the first thing that you see is current location. So I toggle that and I click it, it's going to open up wherever I am. So I happen to be in Ashburn, Virginia right now, right? So you can pretty much see where I live if you wanted to zoom in super close, but don't do that. You can zoom in and see where I'm at. It's going to pull in homes for sale in my immediate area. You're going to see neighborhoods, right? Because that's how this is all built on, right? Or built around the different neighborhoods that we're in. I zoom in a little bit more. You'll see those, right? And if I was to go ahead, you'll see that the neighborhoods pop up. And when the neighborhood boundaries pop up, I also get neighborhoods across the top of the 40 closest neighborhoods. Now, different areas, different neighborhoods, and we've talked at length about how the neighborhoods are defined through Nextdoor. They're not in our control, but that's kind of what that looks like, right? So your consumers will see this on the website and on their app as well. Now I'm just going to go ahead and you'll see that you're going to get the neighborhoods here. You're going to get the properties that are closest to you here showing up. You can click into a particular neighborhood and it'll show you all the properties in the neighborhood as well as highlight the entire neighborhood. So if I just go ahead and click on the Lakes of Ashburn, just because I want to see the information, I can go ahead and click on Explore the Neighborhood. And it's going to give me details about the Lakes of Ashburn. So there's 3 homes for sale, there's 6 pending, average price, price per square foot, days on market, right? What locals are saying about the neighborhood, what's the walkability score. Remember, these are all third-party platforms that are plugged in that are pulling this data, right? So this is all coming from consumers in the particular neighborhoods that are ranking these things. This is not Keller Williams driving some of these things. I click on, I'm going to explore the neighborhood a little bit. It'll drop me down to a market snapshot, right? Average days on market, sold stats, what locals say, the rating scores for those particular things, right? I've got transit commute. You see here that I actually have my work address in here for the Falls Church Market Center. You can have up to 3 locations, okay, 3 locations for tracking how far things are from work. So if I wanted to add another place, let's say I wanted to put into, how far was I from the White House? Maybe I work down at the White House. I can add that right there. See how quickly that was configured and added? So you can add additional papers. Now, be mindful. This is not connected to Waze. It's coming from Google. So I'm not sure 100% yet on how accurate, but I have not tested it at different times of day to check how infrequent these driving times are changing. Here's bikes times, right? So if I want to take the W-O-N-D canal, I can take that all the way down. Or what would walking look like? Right, probably a couple of days. Scrolling down further. Now I'm getting the nearby schools here, which is important to know because people always want to know about the schools, right? Student teacher ratios. So these are all the schools that feed in from my particular neighborhood: Dominion Trail, Farmwell, Broad Run, for that section of Ashburn that I was looking at. And these are private schools. Remember, private schools can overlap the school boundaries, right? Because they're not as defined by the same things that where the school boundaries are given. And school boundaries are important to you. Be careful about how accurate some of these are because school boundaries change sometimes. So it says right here, this info is provided by Pitney Bowes, subject to change. So have the conversations with the consumers. Further down, places of interest around this particular neighborhood, basically places to eat, right? So Yelp is built right into this in here. So you can see the reviews for those particular locations. All right on the map around the neighborhood. See, it says right here, stamped in by Yelp. Additional homes for sale down here at the bottom. Additional neighborhoods nearby across the bottom. And then a contact. And check this out. So its contact information is already pulling in for the consumer here because he's already logged in. So it already knows this information. So it auto-populates that for him and he can leave me a message. And that's what it looks like if they would send you a message. And then you see you're just at the bottom of the page. So you can see here, there's quite a bit of information in these neighborhood snapshots. All right, so if I just want to go back home again, I can click on the box here and hit that current location, just come bring me back to where I am. Now on this home screen, I've got some tools, right? I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can re-navigate, right? So if I had, say, I said, all of a sudden I said, I want to go look over here. I can drag the map across, right? And as I move it, then I go, you know what? I'd rather go back to where I was again. Well, then I can hit the main button to bring me back to where I was. I've got a drawing feature here. So if I wanted to draw on the map, say, you know what? I like these boundaries, but I want to draw. So I want to supersede the boundaries, right? Then I want to save it. Oop, save it. All right, just in a save search. So now I have a My Safe Search up here under Ashburn, right? And let's say, hey, you know what? I really like this house. Okay, now there's a difference between a Safe Search and a collection, right? So maybe I want to add a new collection. Maybe the collections might be a primary option. Because your consumers could be looking for different things, right? They could have primary owned options, they can investment options, they could create favorites. So understanding that there's a difference between a safe search, which kind of pulls everything around a certain set of criteria, right? Or adding things to a collection because they want to save specific properties. I can change the map view, right? So I can go from satellite, which is great because I happen to live in an area, Ashburn, where there's a good amount of water, right? So you may want to zoom in to find properties that are on the water, or you may back up to certain things. You want to say, hey, what is this property backing up to? Is it backing up to a major road? So the satellite function is pretty strong because you can get in there pretty close. Like I said, I came right over here, trying to picture the road that I'm on here. I know I'm moving around, so your experience for how quickly I'm moving around this map might vary. So I'm going to try to be a little bit careful about how quickly I move around here. So, and I could get off of this and go back to the default. So you can toggle back and forth. Again, you're seeing the neighborhoods pop up. Their neighborhood names are coming in here. If you change, you can edit your features in here, right? Ooh, zoom back out. So I can go into here. That's not going to work because I'm not anything showing up there. I can edit my sort by. So I've got price I could edit, bedrooms, bathrooms, right? Type of, do I want to show active, right? Or do I want to see for rent? So I can toggle on and off before those. Do I want to see pendings? Do I want to see coming soons? I think coming soons are important, right? New construction, foreclosures, or short sale. Will we see an increase of foreclosures and short sales? Unfortunately, I think that's a real possibility. That's something that we start to see in a couple of months, that even though there's a lot of options for people, we may see an increase of short sales. I know there's some protections around that, but I'm just, been through this before. Number of bathrooms, and I've got a more option where I can go in there, houses, condos, townhouses. Now I will tell you, just for your experience to know, right now, if I clicked on townhouses, it's not going to show anything because townhouses are showing up as condos. And it's something that they have to work on, okay? But townhouses are defined differently. Even our own MLS, it says row townhouse or end of unit townhouse. So it's not just called townhouse. And so different areas, different parts of the country label them differently. So they're working on filtering those out a little bit better. But this is something that I want you to be aware of, that there's some clarification. So if you have clients that are looking for townhouses, you do need to specify to them that's okay to check that, but they're going to want to check condos because otherwise they're not going to see anything. So I want you to make note and make a record of that that's aware of, but it's where it is right now. But it's, we're working on things. We're making it better. Scrolling down further, I could change the living area, right? Square footage size. I could bring that up saying, hey, just show me everything that's over, let's go to 3,000 square feet, right? And then down to, I don't need anything bigger than 5,000. So I can edit that. Now I'm out in Ashburn, so I can change my acreage, right? By lot size, or if I'm going down less than that, I can change it over to square footage. I could filter by year built, right? Maybe I don't want to have to deal with anything that's lead-based paint. So I can bring that to, let's go 80 or later, okay? And then I've got keywords. I'm gonna search by pool. Not a whole lot of pools, but there's some out there, right? Price reduced, right? So right now, properties are still selling pretty quickly out there. However, not all of them sell next day. Some of them are still priced too high. So maybe you want to look at properties that have been reduced in the last 7 days. Not sure what hidden listings are. So I'll have to get some clarification on that. So even me too, I learn something new sometimes. So if I go to this property here, you saw that as I was making changes. So there's one property in here that has a pool and has been price reduced in the last 7 days. That's this particular property right here. Now, the pool's showing up because it's a community pool. But if I click on that particular property, or when I was hovering over that property, you actually saw a little down green arrow that it was reduced by $10,000. You can actually see right here. The reduction was stamped to the page. Now, this is what a property page looks like. You can scroll through the pictures on a particular property. I've got the address here, beds, baths. You'll see that stamped condo, even though we know that this is a townhouse community, right? Got Keller Mortgage in here. Okay, I can heart and like the property here. I should say, hey, you know, I like this as an option for an investment. I can stamp that into that category. Okay. Scroll down, I've got the home facts for the property. It will be stamped to who the listing agent is, right? We don't hide those, right? One Loudon is the neighborhood, so I see the market stats here as I did previously as I was going through the neighborhood stats. They're actually stamped to each an individual property. I could click on this and explore Ashburn, One Loudon a little bit more, right? I've got toggles across the top, which would actually allow me to jump through this particular page, right? So here's where I put in my, sorry, let me go back to my neighborhood. So here's the neighborhood information. I could get directions to that property if I wanted to. So it's going to open up Google Maps. Don't need to go through there, but I just want to show you that that's there, right? What do the locals say? The walkability score. Here's that drive time I was telling you about, right? 30 minutes from that location to my office, or 38 minutes to the White House. And then I can edit and delete these right here too. Like I said, you can only have up to 3. There's our schools, private schools. If there was open houses, they're here. Open houses at the moment is not a filter, but they're working on that. So there will be a filter for open houses. But any properties that have an open houses are stamped with a calendar on the listing as well. So you'll see it there. You could actually go right through here through the mortgage payment and make some option changes right on here. All right, and you see this is updating right in real time. Not sure what the rates are today. Know what they were a couple of weeks ago, right? Difference between where they were, right, quickly, and where they are now. Like I said, not quite sure where they are today. Estimates, right? That's what's built right in here. Color covered. And activity for this home. Nearby homes, I could jump to other properties in the area of that particular property that I'm looking at. So I think this is probably a good place to stop and pause for a second. I'm going to come back out to the home page. Now we've covered looking at neighborhoods, looking at homes, creating some saved searches, right? Adding them to collections and seeing what that looks like. So let's go into the chat, or if you guys have any specific questions about where we are so far, go ahead and fire away. Okay, So I guess we're doing good. So there's other things that you can search for. So when I hit the drop down, I've got my current location. We covered that, right? I can come up top here. I can search for other things, right? I can search by neighborhood, address, school district. Well, school district is a nice thing to have to a degree, right? Scroll down here. As I'm starting to type things, you're starting to see, hey, am I looking for a city or a neighborhood, right? I don't want Loudon Valley. I've got location, so it's trying to pull address, but then at the very bottom here, I'm seeing Loudoun County Public Schools. Well, if we search by Loudoun County Public Schools, okay, and I'm in a neighborhood, it doesn't do a whole lot, right? So let me clear my filters here. Clear filters. Come home again. There we go. Let's go back to Loudoun County. Loudoun County is very large, right? And the schools that are in Loudoun County are very large, where everything's at. So searching by Loudoun County, which is what you're seeing here, isn't tremendously valuable, I don't think, for those that are in here. Oop, went too far out, right? So where I grew up in Pennsylvania, the school districts were basically by the high school, which is tremendously valuable. County level stuff for us is a little bit high, but it's a jumping off point, it's a starting point. But there's a couple things that you can do if you know the schools, which we do by looking on a particular property, right? Because remember, if we went to the properties, then I saw the school districts in a particular neighborhood. And I happen to know a couple around here. So if I actually were to search by a school's name, okay, so I'll put in Broad Run High School. So there was no options for me to click on anything in Broad Run High School, but the search allows me to search by landmark. And sometimes landmarks are defined by a business or a school in this particular case. So if I click search for Broad Run, oh, not Hill School, High School, okay, and search, it'll drop me on top of Broad Run High School. And if I zoom out just a little bit, okay, then I'll see the properties around the high school. So that's a workaround right now for identifying and looking up schools that aren't in the school drop down because they're not a school district. So you can search by landmark, which could be the school, or you can search, and then you can zoom out a little bit to find houses that are around the school. Now you have to be careful, right? Sometimes school boundaries go one direction and they're real close to the school in the back end, but that's a different boundary. So this is not defining school boundaries, it's just showing you homes that are near a particular high school. You know, if I was to look at another elementary school, Discovery. I spelled that one wrong. This is interesting. So now look, I put in Discovery Elementary, but where did I jump to? I jumped to Glendale, Arizona. Okay, Arizona A for state at the top. So I went to the location and its next closest filter, which is alphabetized by state, right? So it took me to Discovery Elementary. So I would actually have to go into Discovery Elementary, Ashburn, Virginia. So I've got to be a little bit more specific, but if I do that, then I get the school. And I'll see neighborhoods that pop up around the school. There's not a whole lot of living right here. The next closest is right over here in the townhouses around Morley Corner and then down here in the Regency. So being specific, talking to your clients about how they can search by schools, how they can search by county schools, and then how they can search by specific schools, but they might have to put the city in relation to it as well. But you can also search by bigger landmarks, right? if I wanted to be near, my brain is locking up for a minute, but I wanted to be near, all right, I want to be near the White House. You'll see that it actually drops me right on top of the White House, right? And if I zoom out, I can start to see condos, right? Or townhouses around the White House. So the closest house to the White House right now is this one right here. Oh, there we go. There's a couple others popping up now, but this is probably, yeah, these two are probably the two closest. If I was working at the White House, that might be an option. Now, more than likely, a lot of times people are looking for renting in those neighborhoods, so I could switch my searches to renting. Right? If I want to change this to another landmark, maybe I want to live near, maybe I'm relocating, and maybe I want to live near Lincoln Financial Field. Okay. Then it would jump me to the Eagles Stadium up in Philadelphia, smack dab on the 50-yard line of that stadium, I might add, which is pretty cool. And then I can search in the areas right around them. Remember, this is a United States search, right? Canada's coming online. And we're starting to get more and more properties from around the world. I actually say I wanted to look in Germany, or actually look in London. Spelled Loudon, didn't I? It takes me to London on the map, but we're not getting an MLS feed right now into areas outside the United States, but that's something that's going to come over time. So you see that the map features work. I just aren't actually seeing the properties in those particular areas. I think this landmark feature is pretty cool. Now I've put in a recommendation and I've asked for it to allow schools to be split out from landmark, right? Not just the county or school districts, but maybe by high school. Maybe that there's too many elementary schools, but maybe they can at least start with high school. So if you go to ideas.kw.com, you can maybe get that voted up for me. But understanding how to search and how to relay the search to your clients, I think is pretty important to expressing that across to them. So this is the website. I think there's a lot of unique functions in here. And I'll tell you, like this landmark feature, if I was to go to Zillow, right, because I know a lot of you concerned your feature-rich environment. Our website does this, or their website does that. And I can tell you, if they've searched by what I said was the White House, they don't have this. So it jumped me to White House, Tennessee. So they don't have a landmark type of search possibilities, right? So they've got other things that we don't have. And it's kind of like a, for lack of a better term, an arms race around feature-rich environments. But you're going to see us and our competitors continuously add things out there of value that they try to enhance. Say, hey, we have this, they don't have that. I can tell you, we're aware of what everybody else has, and it's just a matter of time that if we find it important, we'll have it. So focus on what we have. Any questions on search so far on the website? Go to chat real quick, see if there's anything in here. All right, seems to be going along pretty good. All right, so you'll see here now, I've got a couple other pages on my website. I've got home, you know, the pages that you guys built are in there, right? Your about page, your contact us page, which I turned into Let's Have Coffee, right? That's there. I added my home search for mobile app page is there. Right, they can click and download it right from that page. We'll brand new to them. You can have a posted testimonial capture page, which is what you need to have in order to have testimonials show up. You have to have a capture page. So this would be the capture page. And then once they post a testimonial, then that would show up on the testimonial page. our Raven, which I call our Raven fans, which right now is just my son. All right, so that's how those are showing up on your website. If you've added some additional pages, maybe you have a link to a blog page, which I have from HomeKeeper, which I had filtering through. And then I also just this morning, I added this month in real estate. These are different pages. We're going to have an enhanced add pages website class. I believe it's on Wednesday of this week. So if we can hold off on the questions of how did I add all these things, I'm going to show you how to do all that on Wednesday. But I want you to start thinking about the pages that you can have on your website and what do you need to have, what do you want to have, and what would you like to have. So we'll kind of have some conversations around that. All right, before I leave and close out of this website here, I want to see if there's any questions around the consumer experience. Go ahead, open up a mic or send me a question. No? All right, I guess I'm on point today then. Excellent. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to my app and connect to my phone real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so now you're seeing my app. And you'll see a lot of the same functionalities are here, right? I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can draw right on the screen, right? If I, on the bottom right-hand side, I've got the same things as I saw. I've got a feed, I've got that guide, I've got my saved properties, right? I can click on the location finder to show me where I'm at. I can filter the properties. Just like, so you're finding a lot of the same experience, right? I can change my map view on there.
Hey, I can't see your app, by the way.
Oh, you know what? Okay, let me.
Yeah,
check
same
my
here.
screen. All right, I'll back up a second. You know what? I think I have to switch my share screen. Thank you for speaking up. All right, let me come back home. You guys see it now?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Yes,
Sorry
I can
about
see
that.
it.
All right. All right, so back to the app. So now you'll see that it's really important to know that the experience across the app, the website, or even their neighborhood news search, all going to look the same. So they don't have to get accustomed to having multiple different devices and displays in their life. Everything's going to be systematically provided for them, so their experience is the same. So you can filter by price, bedrooms, bathrooms. Okay, I could go into more. Everything's the same that I was able to do on the website. Filter by map. Across the bottom, I've got search. I've got that feed. I've got the guide, right? The buying and selling guides are here. I've got my properties that I've saved in my collections, right? Remember I added primary home. So you see that everything pulled right across to the app. And if you notice, I didn't log, when I opened up my app on my phone, I didn't have to log in because it had cookied my login and password, which ultimately would have been the same as it was had I logged on my website. Got my history here. I click on history. So the history is pulling properties that I last searched on the app, not necessarily the last properties that I looked at on the website. So they're working on cleaning that up a little bit more, but those should be a little bit more in line, but these are the last ones that I searched on my app. I come back out here, come back to the home button. So when you do search, search works just like it did. And I feel like I keep saying it, but I really want to hammer that home. I can jump around that way. See, I invited Connor's brother to be a co-pending the home buyer, so I'll see his invitation will be listed as here. Now, your consumer can share the app directly from here. If he wanted to share with other people to say how great of an app they have, they could click on the share button. and it'll ask them to, hey, who do you want to share it with? I would like to share it via message. And then this pop-up message pops up with your code, your name, and it says how great of a realtor you are and for them to share. Now, when I'm sharing directly text message from my phone, not my consumer app. So just understand there's a difference. If you're sharing your app from the consumer app, remember, it doesn't know that you're the realtor, right? It's looking at you as the consumer. So you would have to go in here and just kind of change this text, and you can click right in here and change that text. Important to know. They can sign out. Who's your agent? They can see that right on the phone. So you've got your agent profile, right? So this is all pulling across from your marketing profile that you've already created inside of Command. So this is all automatically coming over into your mobile app. Information to buy, your contact information, and then you see this nice little refer button down here at the bottom, which is the same thing as sharing your app. Now they can contact you by phone. Right now, the texting option is not working right now inside of there, so you will see a text my agent, but right now it's contact by phone. They've turned off the text option, so they're working on cleaning that up a little bit. We should see a mobile app update hit sometime this week. I know it's been delivered to the Android and Apple stores for approval and testing release. I've seen some of the things, so you're going to like some of the updates that come out from that. There's going to be more enhanced agent branding across the platform. There'll be there's about 100 different things that have been tweaked or enhanced throughout the app. The ability to change the agent is going to change. So right now I could click and I could search for a different agent. Right. And I could select different agents from this particular, I missed Drew's name up. Don't tell Drew. I could change my app to Drew. They're going to make that a little harder to do. Once they've branded to you, they want to kind of lock you in a little bit better, just kind of protect you guys a little bit. So that's what's going to happen there. Any questions on the mobile app experience? I know I didn't go into filters and searches as in depth as I did on the website, but I wanted to show you that they work exactly the same way. Now, if I was to go out of my app, I'm going to do that. See, I turn this off and I go back to my app, it's going to open up in wherever my last search was. Now, remember, they have tested this with over 1 million consumers before they released it to us. Now, some of the agent feedback has been, hey, this defaults not to where I am based off of the GPS locator, and that's correct. So by design, it will default to whatever the last search was that the consumer was using, because they have found out that most times, or enough times to design it this way, that the consumers are going back into the app to share a property that they found or they searched that maybe they did not save, right? Because to be honest, they may not always do that. But if they open up their app, it'll take them to where they last visited, so that it's easier for them to kind of recall versus recreating that search. So that's why you're seeing this open up in a last search default. And if you wanted to say, hey, no, I actually want to go where I'm at, they can just click on the location finder and boom, that pops right up. All right, questions on the mobile app version for the consumer? It seems I have a couple here in the chat room. All right, all the homes that you looked at should now be in your Command database. All the properties that I saved, okay, go to the consumer's saved experience, and I will see that they clicked on and liked a particular list, looked at a particular property. That's correct. And I'm going to jump in here into Command in a minute. Part of the new update system that we weren't really seeing before was some of the communication about, hey, they may have said, hey, I love this property, but it wasn't attached to any property. So that's getting corrected. When they were hearting a property, we weren't seeing which, it would say that they loved the property, but it wasn't saying which property they loved. The collections, we weren't seeing the particular collections. So as the future develops, I'm not sure exactly how much that is getting refined on this most up-to-date release. We'll see that when that comes live. But those are the things that they are now taking to the next level. Will the agent search change also for those who already have the app? So for those that already have the app, they've been prompted to get the new update. They don't have to do a download. They can just update the current experience that they have. And if you are the branded app that branded agent that they already have on their previous version of the mobile app, you will remain the same. So they won't have to change anything. Good question. Yeah, right. So you weren't seeing the collections as of yet. That's correct. And they're working on that. So hope to have that soon. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of my app view here. I'm going to go back to my screen and share the dashboard so I can go into command for you guys. All right, so go to command. So remember I told you would have some notifications. So you would have a notification here if you had a new account. That would come to this bell up here. Okay. You would also have, if it was a brand new lead, if somebody that was not in your database, then they would show up here as recent leads. If you made recent leads on your homepage, and you can do that by updating your customized homepage here by clicking on add leads to my homepage. If I come back down into contacts, mind my bandwidth. I got 2 windows open. Can't close that. Come on, refresh for me. All right, there we go. Come on. I think this more has to do with my network than it does command at this particular point. As we all have experienced, there's some latency in our internet performance around the world. All our kids are watching things right now. So what you will see here, so in my database, even I changed Connor's name on my app, and when I initially loaded him, he came in as Investor Donaldson. But you can see right here, when I clicked on last visited, I could filter across as to people that have been accessing my database, okay? And you'll see that 33 minutes ago, my client was on my either website or app. In this particular case, because you know we was on both. That's what this little check mark means. This check mark means that they have a site connection, that they've created an account, and they've either created it through the website or the app. It doesn't matter, but it tells you that they've created an account. So that's what you're seeing here. Now, if I go into the investor record here, which I could update to Connor Donaldson, right, at this particular point. And save. All right. So now look, here's what's here. I have a message from my site that he was on here. Remember I sent that text message in. Now what I'm not seeing right now is all the properties that I searched at, and that tells me that they're still working on some things. You can see the last time I saw search was on the 24th. So maybe they're getting ready to roll that app testing out, but right now I'm not seeing the actual listings in here right today. Let me look at, yeah, they're not quite pulling through yet. So they're working on it. They're cleaning some of that up. But if you click on these filters, you can look at the different things that are starting of how we can look at our timeline. I can go back to all activity, and I can see that text message that came in. So we will see the listings. They'll come back. Obviously, right now they must have this turned off. Whether my guess is they're turned off while they're getting to develop some of the, or for some of the releases that are coming down. But you would see them right here in their contact record. Okay. You do have the save searches over here, which right now you have created. You can create one save search that you can create that you can share to your consumer that they could see. Excuse me. They would give it a notification. This is still in a little bit of development because it's not fully functional, but this is kind of what's coming here is the ability to create saved searches for them. You're going to start to see things as they start to come out and they're tested and developed that aren't completely functional, right? But those are starting to trickle out, and there are some things they have to release in some of the tests that come into place while they're being built out to be used. Phased approach. So with that, we're coming up on the 11 o'clock hour. So I wanted to kind of make sure I covered everything here, right? And we went over the website, we went off the app, we came back to see that we could see their activity from our database, our data bank, I should say, and we could filter and search by last activity, right? And if I come to their contact record, even though I'm not seeing it now, I do understand that it's going to be in here. So it's in being enhanced development. So that's why we're not seeing it right now. It looks like they probably have it turned off while they're working on some things. Any questions on the consumer experience now that you've seen it for real? I think the best thing is for you guys to go in there, create some of those test accounts for yourself so you can utilize and play with those. You feel free to unmute yourself, ask a question, or type something in via chat.
Dave, I have a question. This is Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Am I correct that theoretically, if I created an extra Gmail account that was, let's say, you know, Bella Prop Collab at gmail.com, and then I set up an account on my app with that email, and now I have the app as if that were a consumer app. And then my clients, were they looking at homes and creating collections, could use that email to invite me into their collections as a collaborator, at which point we could collaborate on their collections. Is that a legitimate workaround?
Right, that would be no different than them inviting you, like I had Connor invite his brother.
Right, as a co-buyer. And
Yeah.
you invite people into the collections as collaborators.
You're correct.
Okay. Okay.
Good question and well thought out.
Thank you. We're attempting to have that around here. I've been talking with the agents about it, so I just want to make sure I was telling them the right thing.
Yeah, and
It's all
it's
theoretical
good
right
that we
now.
have agents testing this out and trying different ways to get it to work the way that they want as the company, Keller Williams, continues to add functionalities to it, right?
Right, right.
Good job. Great workaround.
All right. Thank you.
Who else has got something? We covered a lot of material there. Can't imagine everybody had been utilizing it to that degree. All right, if there's no questions, how about some ahas? What did you see today that you weren't quite familiar with before that you now understand at a better level?
You know, I'll say prior to today, I hadn't poked around on the website search recently. So the population of the neighborhoods at the top of the kind of right side column of the screen, and then the ability to dig deep with that banner when you actually click on a property within a neighborhood. I thought that was a really great build out that they've got on the website now.
Yeah, they sneakily, some things are en masse announced and some things just pop up and you start to notice some differences. So the more you utilize the tools, the more you're going to see. Sometimes there's a big launch, a big release. Sometimes things just kind of pop up sometimes. It's kind of cool.
Ninja releases.
What's that?
Ninja releases.
Ninja releases, exactly right. Julie, I always post these recordings on our YouTube channel I'm sorry, not our YouTube channel. I'm building a YouTube channel first. I just haven't released it yet. But on our Facebook page, which I will go ahead and show you guys. There we go, the KW. You know, I'm live on Facebook, so I can't filter through Facebook. And could somebody post the RT Virginia, West Virginia Tech page into the chat for me? I would appreciate it. So I'm broadcasting live, so I can't do my Facebook filters like I want to right now. I don't want to risk losing that. But if somebody could share that with Julie. I would appreciate it. Okay, 10:59. I'm going to go ahead and go. Tomorrow, we're going to take a deeper dive into MailChimp, email campaigns, and newsletters. So I hope you all come back for that because it's just kind of building upon what we did previously. I've got Troy Brimmer and Ted Townsley going to join us tomorrow, and we're going to take a deeper look into those particular things. So 10 o'clock again tomorrow, more information coming your way. So I appreciate you all joining us again today. I hope you got something out of this, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you, David.
Bye, everybody.